Bienvenidos al club. Aquí estamos de nuevo, entrega doble en esta noche de lunes, ya madrugada. Ya os avisábamos hace un rato que hoy era una noche especial y es que hoy tenemos una de esas entrevistas que nos gustan tanto con los mejores periodistas del mundo NBA. Hoy tenemos con nosotros ni más ni menos que a Marcus Thompson, uno de los mejores periodistas de The Athletic, que se encarga de la información de la zona de la Bahía. Y por supuesto vamos a hablar de los Warriors, vamos a hablar de Clay, vamos a hablar de todo. Aquí comienza el capítulo 378 de NBAdictos. Como siempre ya sabéis que ahora vamos a hacer la entrevista en inglés. Estos días la traduciré, la doblaré y la tendréis publicada, doblada al castellano. Pero vamos a ir ya directamente con nuestro invitado, Marcus Thompson. Welcome. Marcus?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Pleased to meet you. Thank you for being in our show. We have a lot of things to talk in the Bay Area. Gladly, we only talk about NBA because you were busy with the 49ers, right?
Oh, yeah. A little bit of Raiders, too. But all that matters is the Warriors right now.
The Warriors and Clay, and we'll talk about it. First of all, congratulations for your work. I'm a huge fan. I always say, and there's been like 5, 6, or 7 guys from the Athletic that came in to the show. I always say that you don't pay me, but it's the best spent money of the year when I pay for the Athletic. Because in these times where everything is bait and easy headline, you do really journalism and really good sports journalism, and it's to be grateful.
Muchas gracias. We try our best, right? I thank you for supporting my career.
I follow you. We can read you in the Athletic. We can listen to you in the 82s, the podcast. We can find it in Spotify, following all the games of the Golden State Warriors with Anthony Slater, and we can read you. I was thinking, meanwhile, I was waiting for you. I was thinking that you are like the great rock bands. They have an album every 2 years. You have a book every 2 years. In 2017, Golden, the miraculous rise of Steph Curry. In 2019, KD, Kevin Durant, relentless pursuit to be the greatest. And in 2021, dynasties, the 10 GOAT teams that changed the NBA forever. I can see that you have it near to you. First, we have to sell the book. What can we find in dynasties?
That's funny you said that, how every 2 years I have a book. I did not realize that until you just said it, but it's actually really true how that's worked out, which is hilarious. Dynasties is about the great teams and the great players in NBA history. So it starts at the beginning of the NBA and it goes through the journey of the history of the league, but through the perspective of the greatest teams, the dynasties, and the players. So it's a look at how they were built, what made them special, how they reflected society, and it's got beautiful art. There was an illustrator
Mhm.
who just he just used all of his talent in the book. Yu Ming Huang. He was so good. So it's also beautiful. I think it's a great book. It was fun to write. It's not like Golden or KD where it's really all words and long. This one is kind of broken up, a little easier
Mhm.
to read, more fun. But it was definitely fun to write. So that means I have to have a book for 2023 now, right?
Yeah, it's like the rock band. You have a book, and then you go on tour for a
And
year.
then you come back and do another one. Yep.
Yep. Hope you have to write one about Clay and his fourth ring.
Or Draymond.
Oh, Raymond. Oh, Raymond is one of my favorite. I have here the Clay Thompson jersey.
Oh, I thought that was the Marcus Thompson jersey. Is that
I was searching, but I didn't find the second. You are like Gary
nah?
Payton the
That's
second.
the two. That's
Yeah.
not an 11. That's two Roman numerals.
Ah, that's great. That's great. We'll talk later about Clay and yesterday night. It was special, but I think that for you it would be even more special because how many years, Marcus, do you been following the Warriors? Like 18, maybe 20?
I began in 2004. So what is that? That is, yeah, this is my
Maybe
18th
18.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 18 years. Wow, 18 years.
Yeah,
That means when
you
I
were like
started
12.
covering the Warriors, when I started covering the Warriors, there was a child born, and that child is now in college.
Ooh, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy.
We're getting old.
Yes, yes.
And also there have been a lot of changes. There was no Twitter then, for example,
No,
no Instagram,
no,
and there were no Splash Brothers, no strength in
nope,
numbers. A lot of changes in even there was not no San Francisco for the Warriors.
nope. It was a lot, and there was no success. There were very few wins. They hadn't won a championship since 2000 or since 1975, and
Mm.
they were kind of like a joke. The Bay Area loved the Warriors, but like nationally, they were a joke. They were a team that nobody took real serious. It wasn't until 2009 when they drafted this player out of Davidson. What's his name again? I can't think of his name.
Wendell?
Yeah, right. When they drafted him, things changed. We did have We Believe though. We Believe
Yeah.
was kind of the moment with Baron Davis and Steven Jackson and Jason Richardson and Don Nelson. But that was kind of quick, right? It was there and it was gone. It was like a comet.
Mhm.
So it didn't become like a really popular beat, I would say, until 2013 in the playoffs when they upset Denver and Mark Jackson said they were the best shooting backcourt of all time. That's kind of when it really got going. Steph had already kind of overcome his ankle injuries that people thought would like ruin his career.
Mhm.
Monte Ellis got traded. Like, yeah, that about 20. So it took 8 years,
Mhm.
8 years for it to become like a popular beat. And now it's like covering the Beatles, right? It's it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm near to be 42. So my memories of the NBA and the Warriors is first the Ram TMC, and and
Yep.
then and then you said that they were like a joke. Here in Spain was told a lot the Sprewell affair
Yep.
with
Sprewell. Yep. Weber.
I don't remember the name of the coach that
Don Nelson.
no that it's Sprewell
Oh, PJ Carlissimo that he
Carlesimo.
choked. Yeah,
Carlesimo.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the thing with the Warriors at that time. Yeah, the Warriors, the team where that player choked the coach, And then you told before that we believe that team in the eighth seed that and the Mavericks. We thought in that time that it was the last chance for Dirk Nowitzki. It wasn't. And
Right. Yep.
I talk with Eric Nem a few
Yeah.
weeks ago about how it was covering the backs and all this road to the championship. Your road is larger and also with a lot of changes. You talk about that 2012, 2013, but when Joe Lacob came to the Warriors, it was the real change, isn't it?
Yes, 2010. It always starts at the top. It always starts with ownership. And in 2010, he bought the team, and he waited a year. Right, he sat. He learned the business. He learned the team. He waited a year, and then basically cleaned house. He got rid of everybody. So there was like this year period of just kind of waiting and seeing, and then 2011-12, that's when he started over. He got rid of, and not just on the basketball side, on the business part, he did the same thing. So that's where Mark Jackson comes in. That's where Jerry West comes on
Mhm,
as a consultant. That's where Bob Myers gets hired as he starts as the assistant GM, and then he becomes the general manager. And they eventually trade Monte. They move on from Monte and give the team to Steph Curry, and you got the young rookie Klay Thompson. So yeah, Joe Lacob essentially raised the bar for what he was expecting, and that bar had been so low for so long, to the point where the teams we talk about, like We Believe, Run TMC, they won one playoff series.
yeah.
Like that's it. But around here in the Bay Area, they were legendary because
Mhm,
the comparison were just terrible teams that didn't do anything. But the most it was 1975 was the championship, and then after that, if they made the second round of the playoffs, it was like a championship.
mhm,
So what he did was raise the bar and say, yeah, that's not enough. I got the money. Let's start over from scratch. They only had one piece that was there when he got there. What was that guy's name? Remember, he was out of Davidson. I can't think of his name. Like,
yeah.
he was the
that
one.
that skinny boy.
Yeah, little skinny boy. That's right. Yeah, he was the one guy who was there.
Mhm. I remember Andris Biedrins.
Remember? Yes, I used to love Andres. He was so fun to cover. He was hilarious.
Something
He was
happened to
great.
him because he looked like a really good guy and not all star obviously, but then he snapped.
I think a lot of it had to do with Don Nelson, but he lost his confidence, and then I think he got homesick.
Yeah.
Like, he went home. Like, you don't even see Andres anymore. Like, he's gone. He's in Latvia. He's like, I'm out of here. This was fun. I got paid. I had a nice little career. I'm going home. He had children and he was done. So
Mhm.
I do think a part of him, he just didn't want to be in America anymore. He wanted to go home. But also, he was declining as a player because he lost his confidence. And I think a lot of that had to do with Don Nelson.
Mhm. We often forget that athletes that we saw on the TV or in the arenas are also persons.
Oh yeah, easy to forget, right? You expect them to be superheroes and invincible. That's To me, that's one of the things that this whole Klay Thompson journey and drama is about. Like, Klay was so invincible, he never missed a game. He played offense and defense. He could run all day. He just never complained. He never got tired. He never took days off.
Mhm.
So for him to get hurt twice, that's where it was
Yeah.
like, okay, these guys are just
I
humans
did
who
I
have
did the
vulnerabilities.
the game in here in Twitch yesterday, and in the
Yeah.
pregame I was looking at before that injury. he only missed one game of
Oh yeah,
123 playoff games. That's crazy.
and he almost played that game, and the game that he missed was because he really almost messed up his knee. There was a play where J.R. Smith ran into his leg
Mhm.
and his knee got caught under there, and he missed the game, but he came back. So it was the fact that he was able to play. Yeah, he just didn't get hurt. He didn't get hurt. He didn't miss games. So for him to have to miss 2.5 years and like deal with that, it was a reminder of what you said. They're rich. They're known across the world, but they're also just people, and that means they're vulnerable. They are human. They have the same struggles or some of the same issues and struggles that we have.
Mhm. We'll talk about Clay's comeback in a while, but I want to talk about that team because you say before that in your book Dynasties, you talk about that great teams that won a lot of championships, but also had something special, and this team has something special. Kevin Durant at one side, it's a team built from the draft, getting veterans like Sean Livingston, for example, Andre Iguodala, and it's here in Spain, for example, it was a team that everybody liked even before they start winning because it's like they are doing the team like in an old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it's one of the things that made them so attractive. You got to watch them grow up, right? Especially a guy like Steph Curry, who, we watched him go through his injuries and wonder if he would ever make it.
Mhm.
He used to sprain his ankle. It felt like every other game. Like I remember one time I counted, it was like 23 ankle sprains in 2 years, or like he just, and you were like, yo, he's good, but is he gonna be hurt his whole career? So to see him go through that journey and get through it, it helped you bond with him. I know one of the people who kind of gets forgotten about because they got Kevin Durant, but Harrison Barnes was
Yeah.
one of those guys. You saw him from the beginning and you watched him grow up. You watched him get better. You saw him not be able to do some things, and then a couple years later, he could do it, and it helped the team. That because you were able to watch them, that you just felt connected to them. People remember them losing to the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs in a 7-game series. That was really the drama was heightened because Donald Sterling, the owner of the
Mhm.
Clippers, got put out for being racist. And that series was so full of drama, and they lost, and you got to watch it with them. And then even to the 73-9 season, and then they break the record, and then they lose in game 7 of the NBA Finals. Like this team, we just watched them grow up. We watched them do it the right way, right? We watched them sacrifice for each other. Guys like Andre Iguodala came to the team as a starter and became, a bench player. Like a bunch of those guys. Andrew Bogut,
Mhm.
who was hurt when they traded for him, and he was hurt while he didn't even play the year when they got him because he was hurt. So all of those little elements, it's why we like sports, right? It's like you pick a team, you watch it grow up, you watch it get good, and then you get to celebrate the fact that you were with them on the journey. That's why
Mhm.
people love the Warriors, especially like Steph and Clay and Draymond and
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes. They were so young. They looked like kids, right? They didn't
Mhm.
even have hair on their face. They were just like bare face kids.
Yeah.
And then, they didn't have muscles. They didn't have any of that. So then you fast
Yesterday
forward
in the
3 or 4 years
crowd,
later.
yesterday in the crowd there was a girl that with those big faces from of Stefan and Clay, I think that
Yeah.
it was like from 2012 or
Yeah.
2013, because it was like, no, they are not the same guys.
No, they're not the same guys. We remember them when they were those guys, but now they're grown men, right, with beards and stuff and muscles. So I do think they were easy to love because of that. But also the way that they played was different. It wasn't about one player. They shared the ball. Everybody kind of got to participate. Everybody got to show how good they were. Everybody had to sacrifice. They were like this really kind of old school team,
Yeah.
right? Where there's a lot of guys and you paid attention to them back when you had to know who the ninth guy on the bench was, right? And what he could do. Like I do feel like they took us back to a different time.
Mhm. Then KD came, and they like change into a super team. Not the same, because it was only KD, but they won that 10 rings, and then the I don't know how to say it with without cursing. We can curse here, but shitty day where Clay snapped his knee, and Kevin Durant also snapped his Achilles and left, and uh, some people from the media and also in the fans said, okay, this is over, but you have there uh, that guy, which what the name it was, I don't remember.
Bob
He's like,
Fitzgerald.
no, the one for Davidson.
Oh yeah. What's his name? I can't remember his
Yeah.
name.
This guy that I think, and I'm starting to think that he's heading to be a top five in the history of the NBA, and since he doesn't retire, the Warriors are going to be there.
I was one of the people who thought it was over. I was like,
I
this is
know.
done. Like
I know.
they're
I follow you.
not just because they lost KD and Clay got hurt. Because it's like, all right, they lose a year, but they could bounce back. But it wasn't just that; as they were getting older, a lot of made them such a complete team. Those were gone.
Mhm.
Livingston, you could see his last legs already. There was no David West. Remember, they were trying to fill in all these. They were trying to find more players like that to fill it, but it wasn't working. From Quinn Cook to Nick Young, Jonas
Yeah.
Jerebko. Like they were trying to find players, Alfonso McKinney, but it's tough to replace like really good veterans for cheap like that. So I thought they were done. I thought it was over. I remember Klay Thompson got mad at me because I said that the dynasty was over. I'm like, I didn't think they were done winning a title, but I thought they would have to do it a different way. They would have to kind of start over.
Mhm.
But watching Steph Curry last year, and then watching Draymond Green kind of see that, hey, Steph is still like the best dude in the league. Hold on. And
Because
then
last
Draymond
last
started playing like it.
last year, Steph, I think that he did his best year in the league.
But still, Draymond started playing like it too, though. And that's the
Yeah,
part
yeah,
where it was like, wait a second.
yeah.
These two are really good. Hold on. They're still good. And obviously you still got Kevon Looney. To me, the thing that makes you say they're still here is they had Andrew Wiggins, and when if Steph when Steph played, they had the fifth best record in the West. They didn't make the playoffs because Steph fell on his butt in Houston on a metal stair and fractured his tailbone, and he missed 10 games. That pretty much was the difference. That led them to the play-in. But with Steph, it's like, yo, they're the fifth best team with Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins. So then you're like, wait a second. If they just add Clay, they're gonna they're gonna be pretty good. Nobody wants to play them. So then I'm like, yo, I was wrong about this. And if they win another title, how would it not still be a continuation of what they started, right? It's the
Yeah.
same three dudes. The pieces around them are different, and they don't have Kevin Durant, which is huge. But if those three dudes win a title again, oh yeah, that definitely goes on the same resume.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know what's happening with my internet.
Don't worry, don't worry. I can repeat. I
Okay.
say that this is the same with the Spurs. In that dynasty
Yes.
from Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker in 2014. A lot of years have been through, but it's the same three guys, the same big three. So it's the same dynasty.
That's when I was writing the book. I was thinking, look at how long this is, a 15-year run here, and they
Yeah.
never won back to back. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, if the Warriors win 4 titles in whatever 7, 8 years, that's definitely a part of it. It just made me rethink the thing. And then watching Clay come back, it's like, you know what? This team they're gonna win again. I don't know if it's this year, but they're gonna win another one. Like, it is happening. Did you say something?
Yeah. Do you hear me now?
Okay, there you go. I hear you. I hear you.
And I was saying that I said in the preseason that if Clay comes back at 75% of the Clay who was, they were my favorites for the championship.
No, you
And
didn't. Did you really?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's recorded. It's recorded.
You got it on record. I thought
Yeah.
they would be like a 5 seed, 4 seed if everything goes well. And then Clay would come back, and then they would be the scariest team in the playoffs. And they could win. I didn't know that they would. Of course, I didn't know Kyrie wouldn't be playing, right? And the Nets wouldn't be together, but I wouldn't have been surprised at all if the Warriors or the Nets or the Warriors and Bucks ended up in the finals. And I I just don't think you want to play Steph Curry, Draymond, and Klay Thompson in the playoffs. Like, they
Yeah.
have far too much experience and history and success. Like, you don't want to play that team. You better be so fully loaded to be able to beat that team in a 7-game series. We've seen them lose one time. We've seen them lose 2 times. One time, like, Steph was on a bad leg. Andrew
Mhm.
Bogut gets hurt. Draymond got suspended. And
Yeah, yeah.
LeBron and Kyrie
I
played
was
out
gonna
of their
say
minds. That's what
I
it took
was
to beat them. The
I was
second
gonna.
time,
Mhm.
Clay gets hurt, Kevin Durant gets hurt, and everything falls apart, right? Like, so it takes a lot to beat them. So you get them in the final, man, you better be ready. And there's not that many teams who I think could actually beat them.
Mhm. And
Fully
also.
healthy, I think Brooklyn would be able to.
Mhm. And also, they are fully motivated because I'm a huge fan of the Draymond Green podcast, and he said that you don't let
Oh,
us
yo, yo,
win.
yo, yo, yo.
Hello, Marcus,
That's
do you
so
hear me?
funny. When I talk and then you talk, I can hear you, but before I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was
There you
saying
go.
that they are fully motivated. That I follow the Draymond Green podcast. He's a great podcaster. He's huge,
I don't
and
like it, man. Like, he's too good at it. It's not even
yeah,
fair. Like, dude, can you get out of my profession? I don't go trying to be a
yeah.
pro basketball player, right?
He's but huge. And not only speaking by himself, but interviewing the other guys. He's great, and he makes really good points. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree, but he did very good points. And he said in the first one, don't let us win a fucking championship.
You better not.
Yeah, I think that he has a notebook with a lot of guys noted that that day you say this, that day you say that.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine what Draymond would be like when they win a title? He's going to grab a microphone and he is going to go off. He is taking notes. He has heard everything people have said on social media. He will go off. I don't think it will be no filter. He's going to say whatever he wants. And you know who else is going to be right there with him? Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. I think they're old enough now. They don't care as much anymore. They're going to talk too. So, if and when they win a championship, it will be my recorder they'll be talking to. I'm gonna have my microphone right in their face.
Yeah, yeah, it will be great. I will pay for that. I will pay for
Oh,
that.
what? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's talk about Clay. Later we'll talk about a little about Draymond. Um, it was a huge comeback. As I told you before, yesterday I tweeted in the game, and I get a little emotional.
Yep.
I'm not a mm, all life warrior, but as I told you, I like this team. I really like Clay Thompson. You can say you can see that I have three
Right.
Clay Thompson jerseys, and it was emotional for me. It was so great
Did you
to see
cry?
him. Yeah, yeah.
Got you.
I cry a little bit. I broke my voice a little bit with his first 3 point made, and I can't imagine how it was for you, for example, for the people of the Bay Area.
Oh, it was very emotional. It was very chilling. You could feel the goosebumps, right? You could feel it when he's sitting on the bench by himself,
Yeah.
and Franco Finn, the announcer, just goes, "He's back." Like you could, like it was a moment. It was like, yo, do you feel that? Like, and remember, like Chase Center is so new. There
Mhm.
hasn't been any moments like that in Chase. Like we haven't experienced that. Back at Oracle, we had moments like that, but in Chase, we don't. So it was really kind of a coming out party. I was curious to see how the arena would sound. Like it was loud. When he got that dunk, it was loud. You could tell it mattered to him too. He was so like giddy and
Mhm.
happy. Like you could sense it. I wrote about it earlier in the year. Um, he was on the bench super sad, right? He was having a bad
Yeah.
day, and the people in the crowd just stayed after and was just like shouting, "Clay, we love you," and trying to encourage him because he's on the bench, like really, like he had a towel over his face, so I'm assuming he was in tears, but he was struggling with the fact that he couldn't play. So like you could feel that like the entire fan base has been kind of with him. You know how like if you know somebody who's like hurting or going through something tough and you don't really get to like talk to them, or you don't really maybe have the advice or know what to say. So you just sit with them. You just sit with them. That's what you do. You just go over there, you just sit with them. It
I'm
feels
here.
like that's what the
I'm
entire
here.
Bay Area, yeah, I'm here, I'm with you. It feels like that's what the entire Bay Area did with Clay. Like, yo, man, we know this is tough. I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, I don't have the words, but man, we right here. And when you get back, we're gonna have a party. So it was a party, like, and you could feel that everybody was a part of it, and he was overwhelmed. And I knew it because Steph and Draymond were so excited about it and emotional about it. I knew it was gonna be emotional because now you got all three of them emotional. Like, that's too much for the Bay. That's that it was onions all over the place. It was a arena full of onions. Everybody was in there crying.
For the very first minute, because we saw the pre-game routine of Clay Thompson, and when you said it, at the beginning of the game, there were two things that it shocked me. The first one, Draymond Green injured. He
Yep,
goes in the starting lineup, and I saw him talking with Kevin Love. I think he was telling him, "Hey, let me make a foul, and I'm just gonna
yeah,
be here this day." And also, Curry, when they were announcing the Golden State Warriors players, he like hurry up and let Clay alone in that
yep,
bench for the big announcement.
yeah. And that's Curry's normal spot, right? The last name announced is usually Curry, right? It's a position of honor, but he gave it to him, and he went on the other side of the court, and they just gave him the entire spotlight. It
Yeah.
was, man, it was. Listen, if you would have been in the building, you would have done more than a voice crack.
Yeah.
You would have been in there. You would have had a lighter up. You'd have had your lighter going. You'd have been tears streaming down your face. You'd have been waving the lighter.
I will be still crying now
Still
if I'm
crying.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
building.
yeah. It was so many number 11 jerseys. Like it was, it
we
was
have
it
to
was really
remember
cool to see.
we have to remember that Clay was doing scrimmage, unrestricted scrimmage from
Yeah,
mid-November. The Warriors were taking care of him. They don't want to
yeah,
rush
yeah.
his comeback, and also we have to think
Oh, there
about.
you go.
Hello, Marcus. Do you listen to me?
Nope.
No. Do you listen to me?
There you go. You're back.
Oh, okay. I'm going up and down. I was saying that the Warriors take care of Clay, and also we have to think about. And I listened to you and Anthony Slater talking in the pod about the emotional thing of the Steve Curry's 3-point record,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
don't want to be mixed. No? Steph's moment first, and then Clay's moment. So uh, all of this is going putting more emotion and more emotion, more emotion.
Oh yeah, as you know, and Clay couldn't be there, right? Because he was back in Santa Cruz with the G League team. He was practicing. So Steph puts Clay's jersey in his locker because
Mm.
he wanted him there with them in spirit. Like you're right. It's been a lot of emotion. We haven't even gotten to James Wiseman yet either, right? Like there's it's been a lot of meaning to the season. It's been some importance and significance to it. It's been a reason for them to really be engaged. They were pointing to the return of Clay. You had the record. You had this really strong desire to have a good start. Remember last year they got blown out the first two games. It was a struggle to find their footing. So this year they wanted to start out really strong. It was important. It was a lot. I do think we're going to get to a point where the emotion and the significance and the touchy-feely stuff goes away. And then it's about, all right, let's go for the number one seed, right? Let's try to get home field advantage, home court advantage in the playoffs. I think maybe after All-Star break, because right now Clay's going to be still getting his rhythm together.
Mhm.
But there's a certain focus, and I think they know they can win a championship. They know it now. They went into Phoenix and beat Phoenix. They
Yeah.
went into Brooklyn and beat Brooklyn. They went into what was the other place they just went into, and it was like, yo, they really beat this. Oh, Utah. They went
Yeah.
into Utah to beat Utah.
Without
Stuff like that is
Wiggins,
like,
without a lot of
yeah,
players that was
without a lot of
winning.
players. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So that's the part where they're like, we can win. We can win a championship. That's what they're thinking. So it's gonna get really serious. The tears are gonna dry up, and then it's just gonna be about ball at that point.
Yeah, we have to remember that Clay missed two complete seasons, and it will be normal if in the next games his numbers are
Oh,
going down. Do you, do you
I
hear
hear
me?
you. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I
It
hear you.
will be normal if the Clay's numbers go down for a couple of games. He has to get the rhythm and come back. And you mentioned it before, Wiseman. Do you know? Do we know something of some timetable or when he's going to come back?
I don't think it's gonna be. There's a chance, but I think it's gonna be after the All Star break.
Hmm.
Like he hasn't done anything like as far as scrimmaging 5-on-5. Like he hasn't even played at Santa Cruz, right? He hasn't gone to Santa Cruz. There's just a lot of steps in between it. They're being really, really cautious with them and really careful with them. They're not rushing at all, especially because they're 30-9 without him.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna take their sweet time and make sure he has zero issues because he still has to scrimmage, probably 1-on-1, then 3-on-3, and then 5-on-5. and then maybe go to Santa Cruz and play in some games, and then come practice with the team. And then they will start being concerned about his conditioning because he
Yeah.
hasn't played since like April, right? And we saw the same thing with Clay. He was doing all that, he was ready, and then it was like, well, hold on, you still got to get your conditioning right. So we're just a bit away from, like, it's gonna be like February pretty before we
Yeah.
blink, right? And then at that point, it's like, why rush him back? Wait till the All-Star break, because maybe you don't want to get him going, and then now he's sitting out a week for the All-Star break.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just think everybody needs to they're not gonna rush at all.
Mhm.
Kevon Looney's playing the best ball of his career. Draymond Green is playing well, and they're winning, so they're not going to rush it.
Mhm.
But to answer your question, we don't hear much about Wiseman. It's very secretive around him. Like, we don't know. They keep saying there has been no setback, and he's progressing fine. That's
Mhm.
kind of the standard talking point. But you know, there were some versions before the season that Wiseman will be back before Clay.
Yeah.
And now Clay is back, and there's still no sign of when Wiseman is coming.
Mhm.
I hear you now, but now my
Oh,
mouth
great.
is frozen.
Great, great, great. We'll carry on then. Things I hate all the computers and and this.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know what's happening. All right.
Um, I was telling you that we have the case of Jaron Jackson Jr. with a similar injury of
Absolutely. Yep.
James Wiseman. He came back last season. He played for 13 games, not a really good level, and it's only now that he's heading his level. We have to be patient with Wiseman.
That's exactly the test case they're looking at, is Jaron Jackson Jr. Uh, and remember, they played him twice, and like including in the play-in down the stretch. So
Mhm.
they saw him up close, and you could definitely see the difference between him now and him last year. Wiseman is just so important. Like, he's pretty much untouchable. The ownership is just never not going to trade him, so they might as well. He's part of their post Curry MVP plan, right? Like,
Mhm.
at some point, you figure Curry won't be playing as one of the best players in the league, and you want somebody else who could kind of share that load. They like the inside outside combination of Wiseman and Steph, so they're gonna treat him like a long term investment.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Jonathan Kuminga looks like he's ready to contribute now, so that really helps him because he's not little. Like, he's not a 7-footer, but he's a pretty big dude. So they can play big with him while still being small. I just think they're going to be patient. They're too loaded. They've won 30 games.
Yeah.
They're tied for number one in the West. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to have home court advantage for at least a round or two. Like, they're fine. So they just don't have any pressure to
Mhm.
rush Wiseman back.
Mhm. And we have to talk about some guys. If I don't ask you about JTA and Gary Payton II, my friend Pablo Mateo is going to kill me.
My
He
two
wants
favorites.
yeah, he wants Joe Lacob to sign them forever.
I'm with you on that, especially JTA. He
Yeah.
is, we're from the same city. So to me, him being on the team is just like, man, it's unbelievable that he made it this far. Like, I just love it. And I love those guys who had to fight,
Mhm.
who had to earn their way. Like, I really like that. He's one of those guys. He's super appreciative. He's really down to earth. And like, he's flexible. Like, you can use him in a bunch of different situations. They've been using him as the Draymond, right? As a
Yeah, as
Draymond
I was
backup.
going to ask you about that because this year I always say he's like the AliExpress version of
Yeah.
Draymond
Yeah. Yeah.
because I see a lot of similarities in his game. He's been changing his game, and he does a lot of stuff that Draymond does.
they give him the ball. Like he's running like point forward. And that's you gotta really trust the guy to say, hey man, we're about to get the ball to Stephen Curry. So we're putting it in your hands. Like they don't do that with everybody. So he's earned their respect. They love him. Like your team is better when you have guys like that on it. And I think GP2 is just good. Like he's just good. I would sign him right now. Like I would.
And
I would give.
he also I hear from the official announcer of the NBA here in Spain of Movistar Plus, Guille Jimenez. He told me the other day that GP2 seems like the son of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Right? Literally,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
Gary
like the
Payton is his daddy. Sean Kemp might be his mother. Right? Like
yeah.
it's it's funny. I'm working on a piece on him and his dad. Like he's got all the right characteristics of his father, right?
Yeah.
And he also is like an incredible athlete in a way his dad really wasn't. So, like Warriors love versatile players. They love guys who can play multiple positions, who can be interchangeable. And this guy can really play 2, 3, or 4. He was guarding Evan Mobley,
Yeah.
right? They put him on bigger guys because he can jump, and so he can kind of contest the shot. Like
He
they'll
jumped
put him on Kevin Durant.
he jumped Ivan Mobley
He jumped
yesterday
over Evan
because
Mobley. That's
Mobley
crazy.
faked a shot and, and Gary Payton was jumping. It's like he just jumped a 7-footer guy.
It's crazy. They had moments where he was on Jokic. Like his hands are so fast and he's so athletic that even when he has a disadvantage, like you better be careful. If you dribble the ball around him, he's going to take it. So I just think he's good. I think he's one of those players who's going to be in the rotation no matter what. They're going to
And we
add
need
Clay. They're
him,
going to add Wiseman. He's going to be in the rotation.
and we need him in the dunk contest.
Do you? I don't know. You might want to relax. I don't want to. I don't. You don't want him to get hurt in the dunk contest. You know who I wouldn't mind seeing in a dunk contest is Andrew Wiggins. I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind seeing Wiggins in a dunk contest.
but
I
I
think
don't
he'd be
see
good.
him going to all the
The
stuff.
moves and stuff, huh?
Yeah, no, I don't see him, but Gary Payton the second, I see him. I see him.
But if
Uh,
Wiggins is already an all-star, he's just
mhm,
there already, so you might as
yeah.
well. May
Do
as
you
well.
think he's going to be? Do you think
Do you
that?
think Clay will be in a shootout? If you're Clay, would you be in the 3-point shootout?
I think so. I think he wants to be everywhere.
Yeah, I think he misses it. I think he misses it. I think you're right.
I think Clay after yesterday, I think he also can go to the dunk contest.
He would like to think so. I think he's crazy for dunking. Did you see how he landed? Like that was scary. If you're
Yeah,
the Warriors, you're like, whoa, what are you doing? Like
I
keep
saw
it
that
simple, shoot
that the
jumpers.
left leg. Ooh.
Yeah,
And
that was wild.
I'm going to ask you about Draymond Green, and I'm going to ask you if I am too crazy if I say that Draymond Green not only has to be the defensive player of the year, that I think that is undisputable, but I think he has to be in the conversation of the MVP. I'm
I
too
don't think
crazy.
that's crazy.
Hmm?
I don't think that's crazy. I don't think he has a shot, but I mean, look, the truth is people don't care about defense.
But
Right? So
I
as
mean,
long as they don't care.
Marcus, we normally complain about the narrative, and we
Yeah.
say and at the end is the box score and is the highlights, and I think that the people that we have a voice, even if it's great like yours or little like mine, we have the chance to change the narrative. I think that. Draymond is one of the two most valuable players of the best team in the NBA right now. So I think he
Repeat that
has to
last
be.
part.
I think that
I
Draymond,
had you. You were going well.
we're here
You
again.
were doing so well.
Ah,
Oh, there you go. You're back.
okay, okay. I was saying that I think that Draymond is one of the two most valuable players of the best team in the NBA right now. So I think that he has to be in the conversation from the for the MVP, and we have to be the first that say, okay, I don't care about the numbers. He's playing and he's so important that we have to talk about it.
So here's what I would ask you, especially if you're a Warriors fan listening to this. Would you talk about Draymond if it's going to cost Steph the MVP? Because you essentially are splitting the vote. If Draymond is the MVP, if Draymond is in the conversation for MVP, that means Steph is less in
Mhm.
it, right? So that's a difficult part. But I agree with you that the Warriors are where they are because of defense, and their defense is the best in the league because of Draymond.
Mhm.
If you look at the numbers, Steph isn't shooting the ball like he normally does. And he's still in a bit of a slump, even though he made 4 threes last game. He missed his last 7. So he's still not quite Steph. So you could definitely make a great case that the most valuable player, like you could make a great case for Draymond's value. I will say this though, Steph has not played well, like by his own standards, and they've got 30 wins. Like it's almost insane
Yeah.
how just his like the way they're guarding him and his presence on the floor, how well it's working, even though he's not playing well. At some
Mm.
point, he's going to go off. He always goes off after the All-Star break. He always turns it up another notch. But the fact that they are 30-9, number one in the West, and holders of the best record in the league, and Steph isn't even dominating in that sense, it shows just how valuable Steph is. So that's the thing I would be thinking. Like, it's great. Draymond is incredible. I think he's playing as best as he played since 2015-16. But you gonna siphon them votes from
Yeah.
Steph?
I'm
You could,
doing
the
here.
more people you convince about Draymond, the less people you're convincing to vote for Steph.
I think
So that's
I'm
gonna be a tough call by you.
yeah. I think I'm doing here a little Draymonds because when it comes to talk about the best defensive player ever, he said in his podcast that he's not only that he thinks up that, but he brings the conversation. So maybe I'm being a little bit Draymond just to bring the conversation and change a little bit the narrative and take care of different things, not only the points, the stats, and the offensive.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
But Draymond is incredible, right? I think people still don't understand how good he is. I think because he plays defense and people don't really watch that side of the ball or understand it, you don't get a sense of how great he is. Like Draymond he's unbelievable. How he can hop around the floor and guard everybody, and how he's like 6'5", and he's in many ways the biggest guy on the court, like mentally. And obviously you throw in his transition, like his passing, like he's incredible and he's playing incredible. You have no qualms with me about the greatness of Draymond, right?
I
The
don't
only thing
remember.
I'll say is if you put Draymond on the Charlotte Hornets, he'll be great and it won't matter. The reason it matters
Yeah.
is because he's playing with Steph Curry, and now what he does is not wasted because he's playing next to Steph Curry. Like it is amped up, it is amplified, it is meaningful because he plays with Steph. Otherwise, they'd be you put him on the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't know if they're the best team in the league.
I have to ask you before you go. Here in NBAdictos, we are three of us: Sergio Gimon, Dani Gea, and me. And Danny is a huge NFL fan, also
Okay, I
MLB.
lost that. There
Hello,
you go. What'd you say?
Danny Gea, one of the members of the show, is a
Uh-huh.
huge NFL fan, and he always wants me to ask you the difference between the NFL and the NBA in the different cities. Um, I suppose that now with these Golden State Warriors,
Yeah.
the NBA is over the NFL in the Warriors are over the 49ers in San Francisco, or maybe not.
Nah, NFL is king. There's nothing like the NFL, especially in the Bay Area. The 49ers,
Hmm.
they are it. It's the fact that the Warriors are even in the mix is incredible because we're talking about 5 or 6 years, right? Like 10 years ago, they weren't the draw, right? They were, it wasn't even close. It was probably the Giants. It was like 49ers, Giants, maybe even Raiders 50 years ago. So, in the span of 6 or 7 years, they've become like a crown jewel. Like it's a clear number two, but the
Mhm.
NFL is so large. It's just so huge. And the 49ers are such a legacy franchise, right? That they're still king. Like they're still top of the mountain. And we
Mhm.
saw it yesterday. Clay comes back, 49ers with this incredible win to make the playoffs. And Clay got a lot of shine, but the 49ers was the top story of the day. And that's NFL is just all, it's just king. It's a weekly event. There's a lot of ramp up to it. There's a limited number of games. Every game is a big event. So it's every game is like a Christmas Day game.
Mhm.
And the Warriors play so many games where it's like, all right, I'll catch the next one, but I won't be able to catch this game again, the 49ers. So it's still 49ers, but the Warriors have become a powerhouse. Like they are a huge draw. The numbers are all there. Like there's no other, there isn't anything else on their level outside of the 49ers.
Mhm. Thank you very much, Marcus. We can follow you in the Athletic. We can listen to you in the 82 in Spotify or and many podcasts. You are hanging around with a lot
Right.
of guys. We have your books in Amazon. They send it to Spain. I'm waiting for my Dynasties one. Hope it comes before the end
You
of the
should
month.
translate it. You gonna translate it?
And well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. And I hope you've been
I lost you again.
comfortable.
One last time, huh? Let's see.
And
I'm just
don't
hopping
worry,
back and forth on Wi-Fi and off Wi-Fi. One of them is working.
don't worry, Marcus. You listen
No,
to
I
me?
don't have it.
Don't worry.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you listen to me now?
You have a good time editing this one.
Don't worry, don't worry. I hope you've been comfortable, and
Oh yeah, you're great.
this is your home. So whenever you want, and here we'll be.
Thank you so much, and thanks for staying up late. I
No,
appreciate that.
don't worry. Nos vamos. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Un saludo.